Today we're talking from the fundamentals of Unicult about spiritual reality. Spiritual reality is an aspect of reality that is criminally undervalued and not appreciated and not understood in this world because we value material reality over everything else. And what does it mean to value material reality? It means that we are not giving any kind of appreciation for the deeper aspects of reality, which are our emotional or our spiritual states. So we already have physical reality, and we have personal reality, physical reality, and ultimate reality, and we also have social reality. So why did we add spiritual reality? A lot of the concepts within personal reality overlap with spiritual reality, which is how we missed it in the first place. This is why it wasn't already up at the front and center at the beginning, because personal reality dictates the fact that you have an emotional, spiritual understanding about the world, and also your true heart is a compass for the divine nature of the universe. So when your true heart is in alignment with the frequency, the spiritual frequency of divinity of the universe, you enter into a state of flow, of happiness, and of ease. So why do we bring in spiritual reality then? Spiritual reality needs to have a space in our understanding because it is like physical reality in the sense that you cannot escape it. We'd always speak about physical reality in the sense that there are these governing laws of physics that in the third dimension, these laws of physics operate. Now, this is a little confusing because I often tell you all that we can overcome these physical laws of the universe with our minds, that we can actually ascend into a state of being where we could theoretically levitate, where we could theoretically fly, where anything is possible. But I want to be clear. When we do that with our minds, when we use our consciousness to ascend beyond the physical limitations, I mean that we are raising our vibration into a non-physical density, into a interdimensionally layered version of reality that is higher vibrational, therefore lighter, therefore more malleable, therefore more connected to our consciousness. There's something very unique and very interesting about physicality in the sense that it is very dense. It is like molasses. In most places in the universe, when you send a thought out and you have an intention, that intention is relatively instantaneously manifested. On Earth, that is simply not true, right? So it's very confusing for people who have been having a lot of lives in other planets, people who like me who come as star seeds and they get born. I remember being a child and experimenting for hours. Okay, if I imagine that my parents are going to take me to the store today, will they take me to the store? And then they would or they wouldn't. And then I thought, well, maybe if I don't think about it. And then I thought, well, things happen that I do think about. And I just could not figure it out because the manifestation on Earth is very slow. It's so slow that you almost don't know what's happening. Those processing times are speeding up now as we move forward. So it used to be like 3 months, like depending on your own vibration, right? If you're very low vibrational, it could take you years to get to a place to manifest your desires. Or if you're at a low vibration and you're trying to get to a much higher vibration in your goals, then that could take a long time too. But now the processing times are getting faster and faster. So when you want something now, I mean, I don't know if you all notice, but it's instant manifestation now. What we collectively focus on, we collectively instantly get. So as we collectively focus on anything, it's manifesting and manifesting. If we all collectively focused on health and healing and happiness and higher vibrational concepts, this world would be changed in a week. In just a week, if we all could get on board with that. Unfortunately, people are trapped in their own patterns of thinking, and it's very difficult to overcome that. We don't need to worry so much about the larger scale picture of Earth itself, but we can understand these situations within our own life. And I think it is interesting to think on a planetary level when we're thinking about spiritual law, because there's a lot of things that have happened on this planet which people have attempted to operate outside of spiritual law. because we don't understand the power of reincarnation fully, we don't understand the power of the immortal soul on this planet, we don't understand the fact that when you die, you enter into a space of energy, just like the energy that you've been maintaining your whole life. People think they can get away with things that they're not actually getting away with. It's actually an unfortunate form of ignorance, because when people are behaving in a way that is just downright rotten, and they think that they can behave in a way that is selfish or materially focused for their own good, for their own material good, and they can attack others or harm others or put others down, then that is actually against spiritual law, and they will suffer for that. And it's unfortunate that the education on this planet about spiritual law is so lacking, in the sense that if people knew the truth, they would probably act much differently and they would avoid lifetimes of suffering. So when we say spiritual law, what am I talking about? Am I trying to be scary? I'm not trying to be scary. I'm talking about karma. There's a lot of different aspects of spiritual law. This is the physics of the immaterial. This is the physics of consciousness. And when we're talking about consciousness, there are rules in place that are just simply inescapable. They're even more powerful than physical reality rules, because physical reality only operates on a small band of frequency in our conscious reality, in the consciousness of the universe. If you see the universe as a conscious spectrum from 0 to infinity, physicality is a very small aspect of this band of electromagnetic frequency of conscious light. So physicality and the rules associated to physicality are more malleable than spiritual reality. Spiritual reality is governed by laws of immutable truth. And these laws of immutable truth are hidden from us, not educated, not given to us. There's a lot of religions, and especially Eastern religions, that have uncovered many of these spiritual laws, and for some reason we just don't even really think about them for the most part. The first one that everybody knows about but doesn't really fully understand is karma. How does karma work? A lot of people think of karma as the sensationalized version of karma, where you kill somebody and then you get born again and then somebody kills you, and then that's your karma. It's not quite like that. Karma is not a physical reality. It's not that if you step on someone's toe, you're going to have your toe stepped on. Yet we have to let go of this understanding of physical reality as the fundamental reality. Consciousness is the fundamental reality. So when we switch our understanding over to a conscious one, we understand that karma is a retribution in the sense of a comprehension. Karma is comprehension of what you have done wrong. And if you're so dense and you're so dumb to understand that what you did was wrong, yes, eventually you will have to physically go through it. But if you do something wrong and you contend with it and you sit with it and you empathize, empathy is the cheat code, so you don't have to go through multiple lives. If you can develop a sense of empathy and you can develop a sense of unconditional love and understanding for yourself and for others, you don't have to be stuck in endless karma loops. You can ascend karma instantly in this lifetime. Karma is not about physical retribution. It's about conscious comprehension of what you did and how it affected another person. Karma is something that has created a lot of negativity on this planet. A lot of entities in space don't even want to come to Earth, because if you all saw The Good Place, there's a part of that plot where they say it's not fair to be on Earth, because just simply buying flowers for your grandma is so loaded with negative points that you go to the bad place just for buying flowers for your grandma. If you haven't seen that show, don't worry, it won't make sense to you. But in this reality, just by entering into this world, like when we talk about Jesus coming here and he had no sin, that was easier to do when there were less people. Thank you, Elizabeth. That was easier to do when there was less complexity to life. If you could be born and you could just be a good person and you could radiate that out and you could not fall victim to whatever pre-programming the people of Earth were already programmed to, then you would be living a life without sin. I don't think Jesus was the only person who ever did this. I think it's possible. And I think that when you're born on Earth now, in this life, at this time of mass information and also the karmic density that we're in of lifetime after lifetime, of person after person, of system after system that has not understood the spiritual law, has not comprehended the fact that what you do to someone else, you will have to grok, you will have to comprehend in your emotional body through empathy. It's almost near impossible to be born on this planet and not succumb to sin or that which is harmful to yourself or others. The goal that we promote in Unicult is to rise out of, and we don't normally talk in religious terms, but in this case, it's to rise out of that life of sin. And sin is not like religion teaches it, which is like where you have, it's just all misconstrued. Like the idea of physical gratification as the end goal. Physical gratification is not the end goal, but physical gratification in itself is not a sin. You're physically embodied. You're allowed to experience what that is. And I would argue, God, my comprehension of God, the spirit of Uni, would want you to experience that physicality. But it's a multidimensional situation. You cannot just live your life with your eyes closed to spiritual reality. And if you do, you will create a lot of trouble for yourself. So physical gratification as an end goal is not going to get you anywhere spiritually, but it's not necessarily a sin in the sense that it's not going to cause you to reincarnate unless you're doing it without understanding of spiritual reality, which is causing harm to yourself or others. So when we're talking about spiritual law, the understanding of karma is a big one. And karma isn't like people think. It's comprehension. It's emotional, empathetic comprehension. And if you feel like you have done harm to others, or you might have done harm, or you feel, I don't care what I do to others, it's all about me, I got to get on top, that is gonna hurt you. Like when we put the blame on people and we say, oh, you're a bad person, you're not caring about other people, we need to teach empathy. We don't need to teach empathy for the sake of others. We need to teach empathy for the sake of the self. Because when people are operating from a selfish perspective and they learn empathy, they can learn it through the selfish sense of, oh, I'm actually doing harm to myself by not opening up my mind. I'm actually limiting the ability of information that I have flowing into my consciousness by my lack of empathy. As soon as we can understand how to teach people that empathy is intelligence, that empathy actually cultivates a higher awareness and understanding, it's a genius intelligence, and it actually makes you into a much higher, cooler version of yourself, then we will actually move forward in this reality. We can't shame people into empathy. We can't yell at people, say you better be empathetic, because the programs and the miseducation, the misinformation that has been operating on this planet have tricked people and caused them to not understand that empathy is advantageous to them. So spiritual law has a set of rules that are operating in the spiritual dimensions that all beings have to contend with, whether or not we trick ourselves in this simulation for physical reality to only matter. The laws of physicality are small potatoes compared to spiritual truth. What is another spiritual truth? The fact that we are all one. And this is partly the aspect of karma. But it goes beyond that. It's whatever I do to harm you harms me as well. We are all connected. We are living in a closed loop system. Even when we look at this on a planetary level, my actions reverberate out energetically and they affect others. And it's like the butterfly effect. If I smile at a stranger and then they smile at another stranger, and then they help somebody out, and then they donate money, and then that person comes around and gives me some money. It's like I just created a higher vibrational reality for my energetic reality. If I go around and I'm angry and I say, fuck you, to somebody, and then they're pissed off, and then they're like, wear a mask, you dumb Karen, to somebody else, and then she shoots somebody in a Walmart. You know, it's like, what did we just do? We created a lower vibrational reality for us all to live in. We live in an energy soup, and you are someone who is one of the ingredients. So be a good ingredient. All one means that whatever happens to us all happens to us all. If we take the people at the lowest tier of society, the homeless, the drug addicted, the sociopaths, this is how I comprehend the lowest, are the people who are the most out of touch with their potential, and they're most disconnected, the most disenfranchised. I think that homeless people, poor people are disenfranchised from their opportunities of their God-given right of abundance. I think that sociopaths at the top of the social ladder are disenfranchised from their spiritual God-given right of creating an empathic, higher vibrational reality and their own power to do that. When we look at these people who are at the lowest tier of society, however you think of that, they bring us down. If we say to somebody who's in power who we don't like, we say, fuck you, I want you to die, you should rot in hell. What are we doing? Instead of taking the opportunity to take that person's energy and raise it up, we're giving them all the more reason to be vicious and mean and unkind because they're not being understood. If we do that to homeless people, we say, get a job, you lazy. Like, what are we doing? We're only giving them the more sadness. And we're creating that energy soup. So karma is connected to all one. All one is this understanding that Unicult is bringing to this planet. It should not be that hard to understand. When I started learning about the Illuminati and like the shadow government and everything, I was like, these people are apparently at the top, but they don't understand the law of all one. Like that's like a very basic understanding. And then I realized it's not. I realized it's just a basic understanding to me and people like me. And to other people, it's actually incomprehensible. So I have a song called Angelic Disruptor on America's Sweetheart. And the lyrics, I'm going to pull them up. And, are you okay? You're licking. You got a hairball. Okay, let me share these lyrics with you. So the lyrics of Angelic Disruptor are, I came down from heaven to be on earth with you fuckers. I came down to preach peace and love. But when I say peace, you hear cheesy. When I say love, you have a fear-based understanding. When I say God, you think a man in the sky. And when I say all one, you say, well, what about mine? The next version of this is, I came down from heaven to be on earth with you fuckers. And then, oh, the lyrics are wrong in here, but they say, when I say peace, I mean true harmony. When I say love, I mean the essence of life. When I say God, I mean the highest energy. And when I say all one, I mean infinite abundance from on high. So when we can understand all one, we can understand that when we help others, we actually raise our entire vibration up and up and up. When we work hard to keep others down through the top-down power pyramid structure of the hierarchical understanding that we have on this planet, we have this comprehension of hierarchy so deeply ingrained in us, we can't even comprehend something outside of this system. The top-down power pyramid is not an effective form of planetary understanding. Because what people do is they punch down to try to climb up. And everybody's doing that. And it's a competitive focused form of lack. It's a system based on lack, not abundance. When we raise up the people at the bottom, we will all be bettered. We live in a closed loop system. We live in a planet. We live on a water-based marble floating through space. However you want to think of it. We live on a flat plane with a dome over us. It doesn't matter. We're all trapped here together. And we have to contend with that. So that's all one on a very basic physical level. But it goes beyond that. We're universally all one. Why are the aliens here trying to help us? Because the aliens were in space, living their free, beautiful lives of glorious, God-given song. They just literally are singing and partying all the time. Just the highest vibrational, just ecstasy. Almost the whole universe is in higher vibrational ecstasy. And if you're at a party and you're just totally vibing and somebody's getting their ass kicked outside your window and they're crying out for help and they're like, please, somebody help me. Ah! And somebody's just pummeling them, you're going to be it's going to be really hard to party, right? If that's right outside your window. The fact that we're all one means that everyone is connected to this reality. The aliens in this situation had to open the window and say, oh, what's going on? I guess we better go intervene because this is insane. What's happening over here? That's why me and all the other star seeds are here, because it's stop. You're ruining the vibe. What else do we have to say about spiritual reality? We have to say that non-beneficial spiritual energy hurts whoever comes in contact with it. This pain works as an indicator to guide us toward beneficial spiritual energy. Spiritual reality is the structure by which laws like this operate. So when we're looking at the spiritual reality, we understand reality as a spiral. This spiral can either go toward divinity or away from divinity. Away from divinity hurts. Away from divinity, in every being in the universe, this is what I was told, there is not a single being in the universe which does not prefer the light. And there are entities which have been governing Earth, which have made it their religion to resist the natural good feelings of moving toward the light. And we can understand this in even our understanding of punk, right? Of the cynical teen who's smoking a cigarette and carries a knife and just says everything sucks and I want to die. That is the religion of the downward spiral. But it's not beneficial to anyone. It creates harm. It creates harm for that individual. It creates harm for those around them. And if we succumb to our natural flow, the spiritual reality of raising our vibration, of following the upward spiral, this is spiritual law. We will be benefited. We will benefit those around us, and we will be benefited. So all beings prefer to move toward the light. This is another aspect of spiritual law. Why? I asked my guides, why? Why? And they said, we don't know. This is just spiritual truth. So just like we have physics, just like we have math, the universe is operating in a spiritual mechanism, which is the same spiritual mechanism for all beings, no matter what dimension they're in, no matter what vibration they're in. And if you think that you can escape these spiritual realities by being incarnated on Earth lifetime after lifetime, you're not. You're simply just creating a cycle of harm that you have to then sit in. It's an energy that you have to then sit in. So the cesspool of Earth has been created by these cycles. Spiritual reality is also any collective energy that can be felt but is not generated by only you. For instance, when you walk into a room of mourners, the energy is heavy and can be felt, even if you yourself are not mourning. So this is an important aspect of spiritual reality because this is something that Unicult is cultivating. Unicult, as a group of people, is creating a high vibrational pocket of reality that is vibrating out, that is affecting all entities within any kind of range around us. Any person who's in Unicult, who's harmonizing their own internal state, who is understanding the upward spiral toward the light and who is guiding their life in those principles, is creating a ripple effect of powerful energy that can be felt across this planet. When I tell you these are the Unicult members we have gotten in the last 24 hours, you can start to understand how many members there are across the whole world who are operating in these ways, who have dedicated their lives to being a higher vibrational person, bringing about this change. The light has already won. If you're realizing, if you see the news and you see all the conspiracies coming out, they're undocumenting everything, the light has already won. We're in the age of truth. And that's another aspect of spiritual truth that is really important to understand, is that the truth prevails. And I did a TikTok on this recently, but the truth is, and I mean this in the sense that the truth, that there are many different forms of truth, right? We all can agree that every person has their own unique personal reality, which is a form of truth. That's true. But there's also the truth that you know to be true. And if you bend that truth, if you hide that truth, if you speak falsities, if you create an alternate timeline away from the timeline that you know to be true, you are practicing deception, you're practicing dark magic, which is the religion of the downward spiral, which is a boring form of ignoring the light, of ignoring the spiritual truth, the spiritual reality. So truth prevails. You cannot escape it. And the people and the entities who have been operating, who have created the systems on this planet, who have created the societies and the hierarchical structures and the misinformation and the misdirection of all the information on this planet, know that truth prevails. They know that this is spiritual law. And a lot of liars know this too. So they'll mix in lies with truth. And they tell it to us in fiction, and they tell it to us in just straight up lies. So when they say, and even releasing, I think they released some conspiracies. I think that in 2012, when all that happened, I think that a lot of the conspiracies that came out were actually created by and released by the people who they were about, because they wanted to create the narrative that suited them, that also was true enough that people wouldn't know how to see the truth. And TV shows and movies, okay, so aliens exist. Aliens exist. Aliens exist. And they have told us that openly. Everyone has a great, clear understanding of aliens. They haven't tried to hide the fact that aliens as an idea exist, but they've created the understanding that only evil aliens exist. They've created the understanding that any contact we have with aliens is about domination and about control. When in fact, the majority, what did I just say? All beings in the universe prefer the upward spiral toward the light. What does that mean? That means that the majority of entities in the universe are loving. I mean, you can't, if you keep going downward, you just suffer. And Earth is just one of these places where people have created the downward spiral, they've tried to maintain the downward spiral of degradation and filth and murder and rape and whatever else, to keep that vibration low, to go in that downward spiral. But the fact is, all the entities are going up and up and up in the universe. So when they reach out to us, guess what? They just want to help us. They're just straight up vibing at their party, and they're like, what can we do to help Earth? And because we've been told the truth about aliens, but then told lies and deception about how they're evil, there's a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of confusion, and then we end up creating that downward spiral even further and further down. Telepathy is real. Our ability to connect with one another, the idea that we have a collective consciousness that can be accessed as the Akashic records, is real. The collective energy of humanity and the energy of the earth is real. Immortal life with regards to your soul personality, your soul energy, is real. Planetary frequencies, as documented by astrology, and other cosmic experiences are all part of spiritual reality. These laws govern how our intention and emotions operate in the larger context of the universe. Energy in the form of intention, attention, focus, desire, and emotions all work within a spiritual structure that inherently operates for the good of all. Manifestation is real in the sense that when you cultivate your own conscious understanding and you vibrate on a particular frequency consciously, the universe has no choice but to create and generate a hologram around you of that frequency. That's manifestation. That's the truth of manifestation. It's energetic, it's vibratory. And when you raise your vibration up higher and higher, spiritual reality is that you can overcome the laws of physics. You can levitate, you can fly. This is the absolute truth, because it is an absolute law of energy, of conscious energy. This is the physics of the emotional conscious realm. So, with that, please join us for Cam Church Review this week on Wednesday. Please join us for all of our clubs. If you're in Unicult, if you haven't joined Unicult, join Unicult. Spirit of Uni, we bless every viewer, every TikToker, every Instagrammer, every Periscoper, every Twitcher, every YouTuber, every viewer in the past, present, and future to find peace in this very moment and to understand the laws of spiritual reality and to understand that they can ascend the upward spiral for the benefit of all. Uni bless. Uni bless, uni bless, uni bless. Uni bless my children. Uni bless my children.